Sports. I did it
Sports.
again. I left the thing up there again. I'm messing up, man. I had a long day. I've had a long day. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Stuff About Sports. I am Germ. That is Bert. Bert, what's up, man?
Dude, what's up with you? How was well, we know how the latter part of your weekend was. How was Saturday for you? Let's go with that.
Well, it's basketball season, man. We don't like to talk about the past. We like to talk about the future. I'm alive and well. I like to thank everybody for reaching out to me. Sunday night was a tough night for your boy, the Buffalo Bills. I am proud of my guys. 13-3, AFC title game. There's really nothing to hang your head low about. I am disappointed in how we played. We could have played better, but the better team won. I don't think anybody was really expecting the Bills to beat. I think they were hoping the Bills to beat the Chiefs. I think the Bills could have made it a better game. I do think we were equipped to beat the Chiefs. It's just our offense just never got it going, man. And it's hard to win games when you can't run the ball and you're not taking advantage of stopping the Chiefs on the few occasions that they had. And that's what happens. But there was a lot to learn from. Josh Allen is clearly a good quarterback. I know he didn't have his best game, but I mean, you can't take away what he did all year.
Yeah.
A couple things, the Chiefs are just it goes back to what I was saying about, a lot of people were basically crediting Stephon Diggs for for Josh Allen's success this season. But I'm like, well, then what is Patrick Mahomes doing? Look at his team. They're so stacked. They're so overwhelming. I am really excited for this Super Bowl with the Buccaneers. What do you think? Who do you think is going to win and why?
I think the Chiefs are going to win, but it honestly, it depends on them. This sounds so trivial, not making mistakes and capitalizing on the Bucs mistakes. Let's go back 2 games ago with the Bucs and the Saints. And I said it after that game. The Bucs didn't win that game as so much, and if Ty's listening, he's going to kill me for this, as Drew Brees lost that game for New Orleans.
Right.
You only get so many chances against Tom Brady's offense, and when you have those chances, you have to capitalize. Now, flash forward to Sunday, when you're watching the Packers, and we were texting about this. First off, the Packers defense at the start looked lazy, and then let's flash forward to the end of the second quarter. You let that Hail Mary score, which was atrocious, and then you go to the second half, and Tom Brady, I think, throws 3 picks on 3 series back to back.
Yeah,
and they drive. The Packers drive down the field, but they can't get anything going. Which, by the way, and look, Aaron Rodgers played great. I thought the play calling could have been a little bit better because I didn't know if the offensive coordinator or really anybody making coaching decisions knew that there was someone else aside from Adams to target in the red zone, which was infuriating me.
They did one possession where they targeted Adams 3 times, 3 straight plays, 3 times. I'm like,
and it all didn't
it's
work.
Weird because you got Martell Valdez-Scantling making plays all game, and I'm sitting here like, all right, man, throw him the ball.
Yep. Yeah.
Mikey P, what's up, man? I'm sitting here like, get Robert Tonyan, their tight end. Like it seemed like once they started going away from Adams and they were moving the ball, and then they were like, oh man, we have to get the ball to Adams, and then they just completely stalled their offense, and it's bad because I know a lot of people are hopping off the Aaron Rodgers bandwagon. He's still the greatest I've ever seen play football. However,
346, and I know he was behind the whole game, but 346, only 1 interception, which I'll argue wasn't necessarily his fault. But with 3 touchdowns and the passes, if anybody watched the game and don't just look at the numbers, if you had watched the game, he was throwing like he was slinging them, plain and simple. He honestly, no room for error. There are sometimes he was thrown into like double coverage and close double coverage too on man, and I was like holding my breath, but man, like you can drop it on a dime. Like he was accurate, he was there, and honestly, wherever he plays next year, they're going to be lucky to have him because he's gonna do for whatever team what Tom Brady did for the Bucs this year.
Do you really think he tried to clear it up on Pat McAfee's show by saying that's not? He got caught in the emotion. It wasn't exactly what he meant. He does want a new contract. I don't think they're going to give it to him. They'd be stupid not to. But what do you think?
Yeah, if you go back in the fact that they drafted a quarterback, and
that we haven't seen.
Yeah, no, correct. We haven't seen because Aaron Rodgers came back in true Aaron Rodgers form, right? Which, I mean, you can look at that and say maybe that move was just to light the fire, but we knew why there wasn't that fire there. Coaching change, let's gel a little bit and go to, but he's back. Look, if I'm the Packers, I'm still, after the year he had, I'm still signing him back. Absolutely. But, and honestly, depending on who they keep offensively, he may want to stay there because that may be his best shot at another championship. But I mean, honestly, I wouldn't rule anything out at this point. If he knows what he's worth and he knows what he wants to get paid, if that's what it's about, he may go to an LA. He may go somewhere else.
All right, so let's have fun with this. Where would Aaron Rodgers go right now, and like without any other a realistic? Like, of course, I'm going to say the Bills, but like, what's a realistic team that needs a quarterback right now, or that has already basically said they're moving on from the quarter? Like the Detroit Lions. Let's put them in there. Like, obviously, he's not going to make a difference in Detroit because that team, even though I love Dan Campbell, I'm excited.
You never know. He could absolutely make a difference. He's always used to throwing to guys, lesser known guys, and making them, a part of the plays and making them a name for themselves. Look, it could be Detroit. I mean, honestly, I was just kind of rifling through the NFC East, but I doubt he'll even go to that division because it's so terrible. Selfishly, I'd love him on the Giants, but the Giants front office has put their full confidence in Daniel Jones for whatever reason. Not that they'll turn away from Aaron Rodgers, but I just don't think there's an attraction point there for Aaron right now.
The Andy Dalton virus, bro. I'm telling you, he's done it all year. Daniel Jones is like the new Andy Dalton. He'll stink it up for 2 games, and you're like, God, we got to draft a quarterback. But then he'll give you that one game where you're like, wow, like, and then you have to factor in that Saquon Barkley was out all year. They're going to give this guy another chance. Like, I felt like the Giants fans should have accepted that. Regardless of what happened this year. Even if he was amazing all year, you should have expected that he was going to at least get another year anyway, whether he was awful or good and in this case,
it'll be his 3rd season. So I mean, you may as well give him one more shot and see what happens. But I mean,
Josh Allen's 3rd season, he made it to the AFC title game. You just got to give these guys, it's funny. Like the Buffalo Bills did a really good job of, like, we look at Washington, they've already given up on their guy they drafted, and Buffalo had the right coaching staff in place. Like that's like the old school way you do it. You take a guy that you see the things that he can do well, and you build from there. Yeah. And you have to have patience, man. A lot of these guys, now some of these guys have too much patience. San Francisco seems like they're going to have too much patience with Jimmy G, and that would be a team to watch out for Aaron Rodgers. But
so I mean, but if you want to jump over to the AFC, I mean, you look at Pittsburgh. We know Ben is donezo, and we know they have reliable receivers too, especially in Juju if he stops that TikTok shit. So I mean, honestly, that may be a good spot for him. But I mean, look, it's nice to throw out these fantasy ideas, but we know he's staying with Green Bay.
100%.
Yeah, if he goes anywhere else, I think the fans would ride. It'd be that Brett Favre all over again. Now, Brett was kind of in worse shape at the tail end of his career, but sure as shit, the fans don't want to, see them make that mistake again. And technically, every fan is an owner, so maybe they'll have a say.
Speaking of that, did you see that the National Women's Hockey League is getting more sponsorships, which is great. They've got 12 more sponsors than they did at this point last year. Now, the reason why I think it's interesting, because you said that the fans have part ownership. The NWHL, their players have a 50-50 split with the owners, which is almost unheard of. So so they get say in what happens. They get equal say in all the league's partnerships. Wow. And so I think that's awesome. I mean, the fact that they're getting sponsorships is awesome because you get visibility. Visibility equals equity. Everybody knows that. And equity equals growth. So anything that can grow women's sports, I think, is an amazing thing. Especially
I didn't know that. I didn't know they had we'll call it controlling stake, at least from a sponsorship standpoint. I think that's incredibly important. That could be one more platform to use their voice in terms of who they want representing them, right?
Yes.
And ultimately try to grow the sport the right way in itself. I don't have much information. I read this morning that there's kind of a little bit of a tiff between the NWHLPA and potentially Barstool Sports with their CEO. I don't have all the information. All I know is it comes down to, I think, she wants to have, I think she wants to own a team is where it started, but she wants to have more of a relationship. But I don't think the NWHLPA or the owners are about it just yet, knowing what type of content can surface on that platform. So I don't think they've really wanted such relationship with Barstool, and she's basically coming out like, why wouldn't you? Look what we can do to brands, almost, like you need us type thing. So she put out this video. I haven't really dived into it, but I mean, I'm half in, half out on this. And part of me is like, would it be smart for them because of their large attraction following? Or I understand obviously with some of the content that's on there, how they wouldn't want to be associated with it because they are at like a professional level. The same thing with why no other professional league is associated with them whatsoever. But in this instance where they're trying to grow the sport, you weigh your options there. Some of their players have appeared on different podcasts or radio shows or different things Barstool has been doing on their own accord, so not through the NWHLPA or through the league. But I mean, interesting things to come. I want to read more about it before I really dive into it because this is really all I know so far. But it does, bargain an interesting question. Like, should growing sports dive into, I guess, the hot content that's out there, the hot platforms that's out there to try to raise awareness, money, and funding?
Aaron Rodgers is Donovan McNabb with better commercials. No, is Aaron Rodgers overrated?
No,
I'll just say it.
No,
he's 1-6 in like title games, bro. He has one Super Bowl. You know who else has one Super Bowl, Bert? Joe Flacco. He's in the same class as Joe Flacco.
If you're talking about what like Super Bowl wins, yes, and throw Trent Dilfer in there.
20 years ago. 20 years ago, it feels like he won the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers is a great. I think he has a ridiculous regular season record. I think he's like 120 and like 50 or something nuts. 120 something.
His QBR, you could look at his overall performance, his yardage, his touchdowns. I mean, if you just look at his stats, he's an outstanding player. If we're moving this conversation into getting your team there and winning, then yes, by default, we'd have to funnel him into the Joe Flaccos of the world.
Aaron Rodgers is 1-7 in his postseason career when trailing at halftime. So where's his clutch gene that everybody talks about? Now, I will shoot him some bail because Mike says he's way overrated. Hey, listen, I'm just giving you the numbers. I'll let you make your own decisions in this world, okay? He is now technically Matt LaFleur lost them this game because he took the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands, but I feel like Aaron Rodgers has enough cachet where if he can sense that things are going wrong, he should be able to take over.
He's done that. He's done that all season. We can't sit here and say that it was strictly a coaching decision unless Matt for some reason put his foot down, but they had a really good working relationship all season. So it'd be weird for him to do that and not trust Aaron Rodgers, who's been in this position before.
I just think Aaron Rodgers' division has been so weak for most of his career. It's kind of unacceptable. His lack of postseason success.
Yeah.
He's like 11-9 in the playoffs. That's to me, for somebody who's supposed to be a top 3 quarterback all time. And I love Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
But it's hard to ignore the glaring faults in his game. Peyton Manning had this. He was great in the regular season. He had the choke artist thing in his past. Like, people, until he won the Super Bowl, people were like, he's a choke artist. He can't win in the playoffs. They were talking about having tag team quarterbacks where you get Peyton Manning in the regular season and Eli Manning in the playoffs. That's how you wanted it. And so
they'll finish their career with the same number of Super Bowl wins. But it's so tough. Like, when it's so tough for me, personally speaking, to objectively look at when we're talking about football players and especially quarterbacks, you understand like that it's arguably the most important position in football, but there is still a defensive side of things. Aaron Rodgers played great on Sunday. He had an excellent game, but they still lost. So it's one of those things like you look at his appearances, you look at his playoff run, he's gone far into the playoffs. It's just certain he just hasn't been able to complete. I mean, it's certainly not as bad as the Matt Ryan effect, where, I mean, how many first round exits is he going to make in the playoffs? Like, we're just good enough to make it in and potentially go somewhere, but nope, never mind. We're still the Falcons. So, and then when they do go to the Super Bowl, they literally just hand it over to the Patriots. So I have a little bit more respect for Aaron Rodgers to group him in, because if you look, I mean, he is one of the all-time greats, and there are plenty of other quarterbacks we can look to on that list that have not had as much success as him in the playoffs, or arguably really any success in the playoffs. But that's what makes it so interesting about, when we start these discussions of, well, what type of class is he in? Is first ballot Hall of Famer? Is he a Hall of Famer? You can look at his personal numbers. He only has 1 Super Bowl versus an Eli Manning with 2 Super Bowls and a little bit less, numbers wise. So I can't do that to Aaron Rodgers. I can't shit on him like that. He's a good quarterback. I mean, he gets it done, and arguably an MVP season for him. So.
You know who's not overrated?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. I mean, holy crap, bro. I mean, not 10th, like AFC or whatever conference title, not 10 playoff appearances, 10 Super Bowl appearances. There's dudes that play for 20 years and never get to the Super Bowl once.
Correct.
This dude has been in the Super Bowl half of his career.
Yes. This is his 21st season and his 10th Super Bowl appearance. So just under half. It's absolutely incredible. You can, depending on the day you catch me, is the day that I have the will to fight and argue about Tom Brady and his supporting cast. And, he was great under Belichick. And then this year I was like, he's going to go to Tampa. He's not going to be as good, right? I mean, Belichick was the mastermind. Brady's a systems quarterback type argument, if you will. But he did some great things. And I mean, they had a I'll call it a decent season for their division, because they didn't win their division. They finished 9-8?
Yeah, they were. You're talking
9
about
and 7.
They were. I think they were 10. They were one of the 10-win teams.
Oh, they were 10 and 6. Okay, so it is what it is. He continues to show how great he is. He went down to Tampa. Figured he's gonna reinvent.
They made it to 11. They were 11-5.
Okay. All right. So great season. So I take it back. Great season. Decided that he's going to go to Tampa, make a difference. Called all of his friends. They're coming to play for him. I mean, let's be honest. When we're talking Tom Brady in the game and making those decisions and controlling the pace of the game and being a quarterback on Sunday, excellent. Me being a partial Tom Brady hater is going to look and say, well, it's easy to do that. When you call everybody and anybody, you have a stacked backfield. You have 2 of the best wide receivers in the game. You call Gronk, who is out for a year, but they have that chemistry. Antonio Brown joins late, even though he wasn't in this game, but will play in the Super Bowl. So, and then Bruce Arians, fantastic coach. Take nothing away from him. But again, we're going back to Tom Brady. No other. I'm calling it now. In my lifetime, we won't see another quarterback to this caliber. We won't. And Mahomes right now is, and maybe Josh Allen, if he turns it on, and by turns it on, I mean, he's great already. If he starts making those Super Bowl runs, and Mahomes could be, but 21 seasons, 10 Super Bowls. He's only, not 9 so far, but he's only lost 3 of them.
Yeah.
Insane to me. Absolutely insane. I don't think, has he lost an AFC championship game? Or anytime he's got, or NFC champ? Well, he's won 100% of the championship games he's been in, but
let's see.
But for AFC, I was trying to think. Every single one I'm remembering, he won. Maybe lost one early in his career.
AFC title game. I'm trying to think. How many times has been to the AFC? He took the Patriots 13 times.
Okay, so he's lost.
And he's got there 9 times. So he's lost a couple. But they got to be early. They got to be early things. For that. Matter of fact, I think the Ravens Super Bowl team.
Yeah, that would have been. The Ravens would have been.
I think the Ravens beat them.
And what, the Broncos?
Yeah.
No, Broncos.
Peyton Manning's Broncos. That defense.
Maybe.
That was like the historic defense. I mean, so they had to be early or whenever, and either way, it's still an impressive. It don't really matter. He's like the Undertaker of football. Like some of these records and the longevity of greatness can't be matched, and it's going to be interesting to see. Like as a Buffalo Bills fan, I'm torn. Do I cheer for Tom Brady, the guy who has just lorded over my franchise for a generation, or do I cheer for the team that just embarrassed us in the AFC title game in Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs?
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards the Buccaneers only because obviously Ty is a Bucs fan, and I want to see him, even though he's going to be an irredeemable jackass if they do win, and it's going to be annoying. I'd be really happy for him, for his franchise, because they've suffered for a while. Even though I know
happy for him. I mean, the most I think I've heard from him in the past couple of weeks is during the game.
I know.
You know, so
you want to get him talking. If you want to lure him out of his cave, just give him some Buccaneers news, and he'll be right on it, buddy. He'll just jump right there, and he'll respond with the quickness.
As much as I love Ty, and I want to see him happy, and knowing how I felt watching my team win, the Super Bowls in my lifetime, I would love that for him. Here's why it's very hard for me to root for the Bucs. Antonio Brown, plain and simple, and everybody can sit here and say, like, why are you picking on Antonio Brown? Because I have very little patience for selfish, babyish, intolerable, like just prepubescent type behavior from professional athletes. And if you look at his whining, bitching, and complaining out of Pittsburgh to the Raiders, out of the Raiders, which is with his secret recording bullshit he did to Gruden, and then, obviously unemployable, and then plays for Brady in the Patriots, ends up getting cut because of his off-field stuff, and then comes back to the Bucs. It's just like, obviously everybody needs second chances, but his behavior, I mean, he's had them before. To me, it just doesn't sit well. I don't want it. And also Brady, I mean, you've won enough, man. You could have called it quits. Like, stop. Like, give somebody else a chance. This could have been Jameis Winston. I couldn't even get that out without laughing.
It might be next year when, apparently Drew Brees has already given the keys over to Jameis Winston, and, good luck to Adam Lewis's, New Orleans Saints. I wanted to get your thoughts on literally nobody being voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Is that what happened?
Literally, yeah. I didn't even know they were voting. I've been so out of the loop. I'm pretty sure Jeter was on this ballot. So
no, he was inducted last year.
Oh, he's inducted last year?
Yeah.
Okay. There was a couple names. They're not going to vote the steroids guy, so I was kind of expecting that.
No, you have the steroids guy still on there. You got Kurt Schilling on there.
And he said he wants off of the ballot now. He called the voters.
Good. Get off the ballot, Kurt. Because look, let's be honest. Your numbers are decent. They're not Hall of Fame good. And if you want off the ballot because you feel you're being snubbed, fuck you. Go try to start another, gaming company again, you turd. Bloody sock my balls. That was food coloring. Anyways,
tell us how you really feel about Kurt Schilling. Don't sugarcoat it at all, please.
Oh man, he annoys me. But I mean, look, the process, and Mikey, if you're still listening, feel free to chime in. I think we both.
He said Bonds, Clemens, and Schilling. I guess those were the marquee. I guess there was nobody that was marquee.
Well, Nick Swisher was on this ballot, and anybody who knows Nick Swisher as a true baseball player knows that he probably shouldn't be, but he's such a fan favorite. And he retweeted me one time, and honestly, like in the early days of Twitter, and it made my whole month. As actually when I think it was election day when Barack was going for a second term. So he's like, how's everybody voting? And I was like, I'll vote for you, Nick Swisher. He's like, hey, maybe in 4 years. Oh man, we could have used him then. But look, he's on the ballot. He shouldn't be. Other than that, there's really no other notables. But the thing is, with Baseball Hall of Fame and voting and leaving it up to the writers, I mean, we've seen it in the past couple of years. A lot of them are just absolute. Yeah, Mike, I'm not surprised. He said Swish didn't even get one vote. Not really surprised here. But for nobody going in, I mean, it is what it is.
Mike says he's blaming and wants a recount in Georgia and Pennsylvania. That's funny. Yeah, Kurt Schilling, notorious Trump guy.
Yeah. But look, he thinks something needs to change with the way Baseball Hall of Fame voters are, because you get these snarky ass writers. If you look at like Derek Jeter should have been 100%. But you had these stupid writers like, well, he shouldn't be because of this. Is like, yo, we don't need this. We don't need these. Sorry, Boston. These Boston beat writers for the Sox bitching and complaining. The ones that aren't submitting, like if you get your ballot, you should vote. Like, honestly, like, treat it with respect. You're put in this position as a writer. You cover this stuff. You should at least vote. And, this whole I'm not voting thing, or it wouldn't be right. Like, nobody wants to hear it. Just vote for who's there. Obviously, they're there for a reason. So something needs to change with the way they're going in. Plain and simple. It's too old. It's too outdated.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I mean, if nobody was voted to go in, they just infused with the stats from the Negro Leagues, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is there something in the works to get those guys in the Hall of Fame somewhere?
I don't care. It's too late. It's not a big deal to me. I tried to fake some enthusiasm when all that news happened, but for me, it's one of those things. Okay, I'm gonna go off of sports here. Remember when they announced that the live action Little Mermaid was gonna be a black girl?
Yeah,
and I was like, for what? Like, I know you're trying to include things, but you know what's gonna happen? The movie's going to come out, and I'm sure it'll be great because the actress who's playing Ariel is going to be great. However, Disney is never going to just all of a sudden make the Little Mermaid on all their Disney attractions and all that. She's never going to be black. You know what I mean? It's always going to be the pale, redheaded white girl. That's how I feel about the baseball numbers, including the Negro Leagues. Yes, that's cool that Gibson's records are going to get counted. But you know what's going to happen? No baseball purist is ever going to acknowledge them because for so many years, this has been the guy, this has been this record, this has been that record. And then all of a sudden going to be like, well, no, the Negro Leagues count. So now we're going to just erase all these people that we've only talked about for the entire career of MLB. So while it's a nice gesture, it's like tokenness. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter. That's why I think they should just put I know the Negro League itself, they should just memorialize the entire Negro League and all their records separately and just make it a bigger deal for baseball, but they shouldn't integrate the stats, I don't think.
Okay. I mean, I certainly understand where you're coming from. You almost feel like, hey, too little, too late. Like, we've been kind of in this progressive culture for so long now.
It's an overcorrection to me.
Yeah, I get it. I still think it would be cool. I like your idea of keeping them, when we say separate, of course, kind of memorializing them within Major League Baseball, but still having the title of being Negro League and the history of it. But still, we can put their stats up against it. But so I see where you're coming from for that. But look, apparently no one's going to the Baseball Hall of Fame this year. So, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. They can't do anything right.
I think what they're doing is, I think all the Jeter and them from last year, because they had to cancel it because of COVID, I think they're just going to ceremony it.
Do that ceremony this year. There was when they had like their press conferences. It wasn't anything big because, I mean, I would have loved to go up there for that, being a huge Yankee fan. Yeah. And DJ is my boy. But I mean, look, we're staying with obviously integration and these huge announcements in sports when it comes down to first ever Black professionals in these I'll say sports or leagues. But the Washington football team, huge announcement today. They are announcing that they're hiring their first Black female assistant coach in NFL history. Right. Jennifer King is now the team's assistant running back coach. She spent the last year as the team's coaching intern, which I had no idea that was an actual thing. Signed me up. But prior to that, she did a stint with Dartmouth College. And then also there's a Ron Rivera connection here because 2018, 2019, she was with the Panthers. She was another coaching intern, doing off-season work, setting up programs for them. I think it was a special teams thing. And then also working for the Arizona Hotshots, and that was an Alliance of America football league in itself. So huge news, great for Washington and the team to do. I think this was obviously large. Ron Rivera's doing good for him for pushing for this. Unfortunate that he's got to work for a guy like Dan Snyder, but seems to me that
hopefully not for long.
Yeah, hopefully not for long. But it seems to me that he's pushing for the right things there. So congrats to the Washington football team.
So I'm looking it up. So yeah, you need 75% of the vote, and I'm trying to look up.
And no one got there.
No one got there clearly because they're not memorializing it. But I'm trying to look up. So Schilling got the highest amount at 70%. So I don't know. It's I think Manny Ramirez didn't make the cut. I don't know if Manny Ramirez
actually shocks me.
Huh?
It shocks me, man. He put up some big numbers. You would think we're
He's talking about the guy now, though.
Is he?
Yeah, he's
It's
a
a
steroid
shame.
guy. But,
Honestly,
you
it
can't have a
needs to
Hall
move to
you can't have a
committee
Hall
at
of
this point.
Fame.
You can't have these writers and then get to
Yeah.
a certain position. Do it like football. Go to a series of committees. Go through rounds. Have it for an open discussion and go from there. Honestly, if they want to do something, just give it to Pete Rose. I know you've said you'll never induct Pete Rose, but the guy, he's not a steroid guy. He didn't do anything to enhance himself in his performance. He's the hit king all around. Like, the only thing he did is, as a manager, he bet on his team to win, showing full faith in his team. Can MLB just knock off this charade? If you're going to punish guys who cheated by using steroids, can you at least give Pete just get him in? Like, this is ridiculous. 2021 is the year of Pete Rose. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, free Pete Rose. Didn't they let I know Mike Schmidt admitted after the fact, but isn't Mike Piazza in the Hall of Fame? Like, he's a steroid guy.
Yeah, Mike Piazza is in the Hall of Fame. I don't know about steroid. I mean, we have our Mets correspondent listening in right now. I mean, he could be.
Oh, okay.
Veterans Committee says like someone to be included.
So probably Manny then, because everybody likes Manny Ramirez.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's like you can't have a Hall of Fame without Pete Rose and without Barry Bonds and without Roger Clemens. It's like you put them in and just say, but here, they were accused of this, but it doesn't really matter. Like, people don't care.
I mean, they still have to play the game, right?
Listen,
Roger
Mike,
Clemens to me is
Mike, listen, I am the voice of reason. I have a monopoly on the truth. I have a responsibility to our viewership, to our listenership, to tell the truth and be honest. I'm a Mets fan, but if Mike Piazza was on that juice, so be it. He was great. And if he was even smarter, he would have been on steroids even sooner, and he could have been even greater, and maybe won us a World Series. I don't know.
Maybe we'll stay with just him being great in itself. But Barry Bonds, I think, absolutely should be, despite the juice,
which he was never technically proven.
Yeah, and I think
throwing that out there.
There's a personality trait between, if you look at Bonds and Clemens and Schilling, they're all assholes.
Yeah.
I'll say it. I mean, let's be honest. Barry Bonds, as great as he was notorious for not being a team player, for flying separately from the team, getting dressed separately from the team, more of a lone guy. And I mean, say what you want about Clemens. He was a good pitcher. He lied about doing steroids. He lied to Congress about doing steroids. And then Schilling, I mean, goes with the show. He's kind of just my personal opinion, but he's an a-hole. But something needs to change. Mikey said there's a veterans committee, so hopefully, someone comes in. But the whole process, as I've said before, it absolutely needs to change altogether in itself.
Having an asterisk by your name doesn't really do anything. People seen it. You know what I mean?
I still remember you too, right? I mean,
I've watched Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa save the game of baseball. You can't take that away from me. And then give me more steroids if that's going to be happening. And it should be based on the player's performance. Like I get it shouldn't be about character. So I know we were talking about Barry Bonds. Terrell Owens is another example. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but he paid for that. He paid for his personality by it being delayed for so long.
He shouldn't have to have paid anything.
I'm with you on that.
Right.
Especially when it comes
that's why, honestly, the writers need to make their votes public. That's the change you need to have.
So I'm so glad you said that, because I absolutely agree with you, because I'd bet you they'd be less snarky if they actually had their shit come out, and it should. But absolutely. I think the reason they didn't is probably, and we'll look to the Derek Jeter example last year, where he should have been close to like a Mariano Rivera, like a unanimous decision across the board. You get those that one reporter, God forbid he doesn't vote for a guy that obviously should get in, you're going to get people going after him, which I know may help your argument. But for me, in this day and age, you never know who's going to storm whatever capitals around you. So
I know now you got to be really careful. We end up talking more about Pete Rose because he's not in. Yes. And his legend will never die that way. And it's a shame, because they're going to wait until he dies to put him in the Hall of Fame. And he's not going to get that moment with the fans who desperately want him in. And that's another reason why I love baseball. I hate the spirit of baseball. I hate these old-timey, get off my lawn sports writers who won't vote Derek Jeter unanimous because they know he's going to get in. So they're going to give their one vote to some loser who doesn't even deserve to be on the ballot because he's been giving them, quotes all his career. It's like, it's a joke. It's a joke. Put your name to the ballot. Then not only do you have to not put your name to the ballot, you have to explain why you voted for this person. Explain why you voted. I know Nick Swisher. I'm picking on Nick Swisher because that's the guy but like, let's say Nick Swisher got the one vote. Explain why the hell you voted for Nick Swisher, please. Yeah. Why did you vote for Nick Swisher and not Derek Jeter or Barry Bonds? Like, I want you to write, hey, John Public, I didn't vote for Barry Bonds because I don't like that he took steroids. Even though he never, you have to write that why you're not voting for Barry Bonds, and it can't be steroids. And you can't say it's because I think he took steroids, because now you're being subjective. I want you to tell us exactly why. And then you have guys like Josh Hamilton, who's like an alcoholic druggie doing crack in the parking lot. Explain it then. And you're going to throw him in there. You're going to make him all great.
Poor Josh, man. He fell off the wagon. But, you got me thinking, actually, because like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they do this fan vote, where the fans will vote who, they'll give them a list, like who should be in. And if they vote, I mean, I think that's how Bon Jovi got in for those Jersey individuals. But if Major League Baseball wants to step up, which they don't, because they're so set in your ways, like you said, it's so old timey, it's disgusting to a certain point. Honestly, let a fan vote. That is a super way to re-engage your fans and still get, like Swisher would get fan votes. He would get a ton of fan votes, especially in the New York City area. But I mean, why not just have a separate section, fan votes? Plain and simple. They're still in the hall. They're in there for a reason. You're looking back. We don't need critical writers to make these decisions, especially if you can't have a committee look at stats and performance and do it yourself. But give it back to the fans. These are the individuals that are paying for the streaming services, the cable companies, the tickets to the game, the merchandise. Give it back to the fans to vote in who they want to see in the Hall of Fame. I honestly, I think it's appropriate. I think I'm actually saying it. I think all leagues should do something like this because it's the fans that's keeping you going. And you should know that now more than ever in a year where we've had basically with no fan interaction sports wise. How about give it a little bit back,
So I know it's a hot topic, but it's like, to me, and it's kind of basically Terrell Owens for the NFL prompted. I've always said this: if you finish in like the top 10 of whatever the criteria that makes you in the GOAT category or the best of whatever your position is, right? There shouldn't be a vote. You should automatically get in. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, if we jump back to Tom Brady, I think rather than waiting 3 years to be eligible, I think the second he retires, just induct him. There's no point.
There's no voting. Give that vote to somebody who's worth voting for. Terrell Owens shouldn't have to gotten voted for. He's a top 5 receiver and probably a top 3 receiver of all time. Like Alex Rodriguez and Barry Bonds are top 10 baseball players of all time, and probably both of them are top 5. They shouldn't have to get a vote on. But A-Rod, people don't like him, and people don't like. There's like a character clause in these sports, which is ridiculous, bro. I don't know you. All I care about, our relationship, is I bet on your games because you're a great player and you're on my favorite team and, whatever. I don't know you personally, so I have no reason to judge your character. And
we can't say that. We can't say that about A-Rod now, because we do, in a sense.
Oh no, A-Rod's our guy now.
Yeah, he's legit. He's an awesome dude. I'll vote him based off his character alone. Now that we've had the chance to get to know him. He's
been poorly misjudged because he hung out with us and he gave us a bunch of time and he sent us a bunch of stuff. And that's our guy. I'm going to text A-Rod when I'm done here and tell him, just keep being you and let the haters hate, and we'll just let the money multiply. So switching from the Hall of Fame, the baseball writers, you stingy oafs, go somewhere. Just stop voting. You shouldn't get a vote if you're not going to put these guys in. We want Manny Ramirez. We want Barry Bonds. We want Rafael Pinero. You said who?
Pete Rose.
Pete Rose. Yeah. Oh yeah. My bad. Pete Rose. Couple other things I have in my notes here. Golfer Justin Thomas. You might have known that he notoriously had his sponsorships taken for saying a homophobic slur in one of the tournaments. Well, Citibank is still sponsoring him, and a meaningful portion of his money will be donated to LGBTQ causes, which is cool. So I just wanted to shout him out real fast.
I think that's huge of him. Despite why any reason he said it and it's wrong. And you should never have to hear that because it is very hurtful to people. But now, it was his.
And for those who don't know what we're talking about, he yelled.
Don't say it.
The 6-letter F word on national TV after missing a short putt. I'll let you figure out what that is if you don't know, but
regardless, it was very hurtful to the LGBTQ plus community who has been, obviously trying to get away from using or individuals using slurs like that because, like I said, it's very hurtful in itself. And this was Justin's decision to take that money and donate it, right?
Yes, from what I believe, or I think it was just agreed. It probably is one of those things where City was like, "You're doing this," but I think they gave him the opportunity to say, "We're doing this," and it make it look like it was coming from him. I don't think the LGBTQ plus is a plus now. I don't want to offend anybody. Whatever
LGBTQ plus,
that community. I don't think they're going to care how the money is dispensed, or I don't think they're asking for like an official apology or whatever. The fact that they're getting money for the charities to help their causes, I think, is a wonderful thing, no matter how it's delivered to them.
I think he did make an apology, obviously, it's important for him to hopefully this was 100% his decision, or if it was coerced by City, either one. It's good that they're taking this opportunity in his platform to redirect where that money goes and support to the community that he just hurt, which I think is incredibly important. And hopefully, he goes through some type of, meets with members of these communities and it gets an understanding and kind of, never makes this mistake again in itself. If we're talking about sponsorships though, and advertising, quick shout out to Budweiser, absolutely huge of them. And I don't care what your stand is on the vaccination or the virus right now, but this is huge. For the first time since 1983, when they first introduced Bud Light, they have been in every single Super Bowl buying huge ads for the big game in itself. So, for the past 37 years or so, they have been buying sponsorship for the big game. So now they're actually pulling their ad. They're not going to spend the millions of dollars that they usually do, and they're taking that money and donating it towards coronavirus vaccination awareness efforts. They didn't specify exactly where it's going. All we know is they're pulling their funding and they're putting it towards community because they want this to be over as much as we want it to be over, so we can resume a sense of normalcy. So huge shout out to them. They're actually following, and I think Coke and Pepsi are doing something similar. But it's one of those things where it's going to be strange not seeing their advertisements, but to the same point, it's for a really, really good cause overall.
Well, shout out to Budweiser. Pepsi's not doing. I don't think Pepsi's doing it either.
Pepsi and Coke.
I hate Pepsi though. They laid. Oh, Pepsi laid me off, so I don't care about Pepsi. I'm glad you're missing out on all the dollars. Now I don't want you to do anything in there. So, before we get to the bucket of, do we have anything else that we really need to?
I got a couple things. We're staying in the world of media. Unfortunately, NBC Sports. They're no more. They're going to start shutting down. So what's going to happen is over the past year, they've lost almost half their viewership, which I think can kind of go hand in hand with the fact that sports really wasn't around. But most notable, they tend to carry NHL playoffs as well as NASCAR. But their viewership is hurting, a lot of which to do, of course, with the sports that weren't happening. But even they saw the decline before that because more and more people are doing cable cutting. I, for one, haven't had cable in 4 years. I stream everything, and there are different apps I can even stream live sports through now. So, and it's free. Look, it saves me a ton of money, and I can stream everything. So why not? But so some of the necessary programming, like any playoff coverage, or even some of their best viewed programming, will actually go to USA or Peacock, NBC's streaming service in itself. So, I think we're going to see that trend more and more. I think the main player that's going to stay around is obviously ESPN because they're backed by ABC and Disney. Other than that,
CBS Sports, but see, that's the thing. CBS Sports has been at the forefront of this for years. I watch CBS Sports HQ. It's literally 24/7. It's not even just highlights. It's just sports. It's not debate shows. It's not anything. And it's weird. It's when you're NBC Universal and you have all of these arms, at some point you have to consolidate, and that's what's happening here. NBC's obviously, and NBC Sports obviously. All right, so Dan Patrick is obviously going to be unharmed by this. He'll end up on USA, which is better for him. Chris Sims and what do they do? The Monday Morning Quarterback, whatever they do,
Yeah.
Or Pro Football Talk or they'll be fine. They'll be on Peacock exclusively, maybe. You know what I mean? Like it's the smaller ones, like you were saying, some of the smaller things. Yeah, WWE Network's folding. They're going to go to Peacock. That's like they have a deal. They have a partnership with USA Network anyway. Yeah. So I'm sure that has a lot to do with, like you're saying, they're going to consolidate. I'm 100% sure that I don't think Monday Night Raw will be affected, but they have other programming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure NBC Sports is probably going to take over Wednesday nights from WWE, and I know WWE plays a lot of their other. They have like specials on set, I'm sure NBC Sports is going to take any real estate they can, and that's why you're going to see that, and it makes sense for NBC to do that. Yeah.
It's wild when you look at these streaming services, though. It's like they're all consolidating, working with their other networks, and basically building out their own juggernauts. Like WWE Network's going to move over to Peacock, and then you look at like something like HBO Max when they already have everything on HBO, but then they also have like the Cartoon Network stuff, the DC stuff, all bundled in. Hulu with live sports too. So it's all, we're getting rid of the large cable companies. Now we're just going to have large streaming.
By the time you're done paying for all these streaming services, you might as well have cable.
Yeah.
And but I like the aspect where I don't have to watch it live. Yeah, that's why I like to, like, I would, if I'm paying $200 for a cable company or cable, I'd rather pay $200 for the streaming services that I want. And I can go in at any time when I want to watch it, and I don't have to worry about making it home on time or going out somewhere and missing a show, or I could just watch it on my phone. Like, I mean, I know a lot, like I watch, I know you could do cable on your phone too, but I don't have to, it's still cable. It's still, you have to watch it at a certain time, and then you have to wait that weird 24-hour period. No, like, Disney did that, right? You can do, I pay $13.99 and I get Hulu, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus. So it's like, it's perfect for me. Yeah. I love it.
Dude, it's golden. And then the last two things I have, both kind of coronavirus related, but all towards sports, and kind of spark some other discussion. First, I think let's start with basketball. I don't know if you heard this, but I read this, I think it was yesterday, that Miami Heat have announced that they're going to start using COVID-19 sniffing dogs to screen fans who want to attend their games. At first, it's going to start with friends and family of players. And then when they begin to allow fans, they're going to go literally you have to get sniffed by a dog in order to enter. Now, this is nothing new. There have been dogs that obviously help sniff out drugs or bombs, or even there's alert dogs to those that are seizure prone or diabetic, when they can actually sniff when their owner's blood sugar drops and stuff like that. So it's been used in healthcare for quite some time. For those that may be allergic or scared of dogs, they have the option to get a rapid test. Right. All fans will still have to fill out a health screening questionnaire and wear a mask. No cash transactions inside. And listen to this shit. Only water and soda being sold. No alcoholic beverages whatsoever.
All right. So people just won't be going to the games then, huh?
Exactly. Like, look, I mean, I'm all for going to a live event, and I'll go. Like, if you tell me not to get a beer or something, that's fine. I'll go. But now, I got to go get sniffed by a dog, fill out a questionnaire, and then I don't know. At that point, it's like, I'll just sit on my couch. Like, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then with the Olympics coming up, another big, COVID, should all the athletes get tested? The IOC is trying to push for all of their, get vaccinated. The IOC is trying to push for all their athletes that are going there to get vaccinated for two reasons. One, they don't want to delay the summer games again. And two, they want to make sure everybody who is there from these other countries are, of course, being safe and are vaccinated, to not delay any of the games in itself, which is causing nothing set in stone yet. There is no decision, but it's causing a huge debate online on whether or not athletes should jump the line and get the vaccine earlier so they can participate. In this instance, where they've already put, and especially Japan and Tokyo has put so much money into building these structures and hosting these games, for them to delay another year would severely hurt them. But I mean, should they jump the line? Should athletes get priority treatment so they can continue to compete in these games, or even play in professional sports too,
Yep, they should. I know a couple weeks ago when we talked about the NHL trying to buy a private stock of COVID, I'm like, yeah, all right. Yeah. You know what? Because what's going to happen? We can't do anything. All we can do is watch sports. Yeah. Only way these stadium workers can make money, and these athletes can make money, and these cities who rely heavily on the revenue from their professional sports teams, So what are you going to do? So yeah, they honestly, athlete first, frontline workers, hospital, military members, law enforcement, fire departments, and professional athletes, 100%. Anybody essential, I would say, and then professional athletes absolutely should be lumped in there because we ain't got nothing going on but lives like sports, and that's the only a lot of these cities depend on it, and a lot of people don't understand that the business side of sports. They're like, oh, they're only playing a game. Well, yeah, but there's also people that work in the stadiums that run these teams, the athlete, like all that helps.
Yeah, it's a trickle down effect for sure.
Sponsorship dollars. The athletes are on the court. There's going to be kids out there wanting to buy the stuff, and like you said, it's a trickle down effect. So yeah, the athlete should jump the line. Hey, if you don't like it, you know what you can do? You can go be really good at basketball, or you could become a billionaire and buy your own franchise. That's what you can do. No, or you could just sit your ass on the couch and just watch it and just do it, flip burgers or whatever you're really doing. But it's those people that complain, like, oh, why do they get to jump the line? Because they're special, and you're not. And I'm not, and Bert's not. I mean, we're not we're not special. They are, and that's the way the world works. You do get preferential treatment, and it's like a harsh truth. But yeah, I remember laughing at people like, oh, why do they get to jump the line? Why? So you can hurry, so you can jump the line. You don't want them to jump the line because you want to jump the line, so you can go back and stock shelves, or go be a firefighter, or go do whatever you got to do. Work at Target, whatever you're doing, which there's nothing wrong with any of those things. But what you're not? You're not a multi-million-dollar athlete playing a multi-billion-dollar sport that grows your city's economy. You going to your job doesn't help anybody except the one person you may be helping at a time. Professional athletes help millions of people at once. So sorry, buddy. You're not that's just the way the world is. But like I said, you want to change the world, go be a professional athlete, and then you can jump the line. That's what I think about that.
Words of wisdom by Germ.
Don't worry though that's interesting about Japan. I don't see them forcing people to get vaccinated. I also don't see them canceling the Olympics. However, in case that Japan does do that, Florida is on the rescue. Florida is just like, hey.
Uh-oh. Did you freeze again? I think Germ froze again. I don't know. Maybe it's me that froze. Who knows? But I think Germ was kind of getting to the point here. And then I think the next thing we were going to do is Bucket of Doom. So...
And we are back. I don't know what happened.
Well, that was weird.
That was weird. StreamYard gave me some weird vibes here. But I'm about to say my internet was working, so it wasn't me this time.
Maybe the FBI was onto you with that.
I know the IOC was after me. They were like, "Oh, wait, it's the IOC." But all right, well, since we're here, I guess they're giving us a signal.
Yeah, they get the hug. Do hold on? Do that little shake again. You hear how hollow that is? The little two helmets in there. It's a lonely bucket right there, man. I can't believe this is it.
This is it, guys. Until next football season. It's hard to do with basketball. It's hard to do. I really was thinking of a way. It's just too much. I was thinking of doing like a literally like pulling teams that you keep all year, like an all year. But then there's really no way to, like, at that point we're just doing one giant pick. And then we're done anyway. So for me, and I think the Bucket of Doom should be NFL exclusive. I think it makes it special. It makes it exciting for next year. We had a really good time doing it. We have to come up with a punishment for Ty. Yeah. The playoff eliminator challenge was awesome. We had a sign up, and I put it out, and an hour later, I had all the spots filled up. It was amazing. I think hopefully next year, none of us network guys will have to do it because we'll have enough people. We actually had enough people where none of us had to do it, but at that point I had already filled it up. And
first go around too. But hey, no network guys in the championship, which is what you like to see. So
that is nice. So who do we have?
We have
Josh and we have Brandon.
Right? Josh is. Apologies.
Josh is. Yeah, he's like an honorary member. Josh does a lot for us behind the scenes, but we have Josh and we have Brandon DeWitt. So let's see. Josh had the Chiefs and Brandon had the Bucs. Who scored more points? That's how I'm going to determine who picks first.
The Chiefs or the Bucs?
Let's look up the scores real quick while we're doing. Yeah, but who had the Chiefs had 38 points. No, how much did the Bucs have?
Bucs had 31. So the Chiefs.
Okay, so Josh will pick. So the Chiefs. So I'll have Josh pick. Before we do that, I forgot top 5, bottom 3 NBA teams. The Utah Jazz are number 1, guys. They've won 8 games in a row. I don't care what the Lakers just blew a double-digit lead. Jazz number 1, Clippers number 2, Lakers number 3, Philadelphia 76ers number 4, Denver Nuggets number 5. Bottom 3 teams. We are going to go with the New Orleans Pelicans, Wizards, and the worst team in the league, the Detroit Pistons, even though they just beat the Sixers, but the Sixers didn't have our best player. So we'll check in next week. I'll give more of an explanation. Sorry, I rushed that, but I'm going to do that every week. Here we go. Bucket of Doom. All right, we decided Josh is picking, and in the Super Bowl, Josh has the Kansas City Chiefs.
Sticking with the hot hand of the Chiefs.
So Josh has the Chiefs. Brandon has the Bucs. We are going to see who is going to win our prize. You get some network merch. You'll get the Amazon Echo. You get the Beats headphones. But for everybody who participated, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for supporting the network. Hey, you guys on YouTube, we're already up past 350 subscribers. Let me go ahead and refresh it. You guys have been sharing it. I've been getting messages about how many people are sharing our YouTube page, helping us grow this thing. Trisha has been amazing. I'm sure a majority of, so I want to shout Trisha out. She owns the Mets Extremist. So if we have any Mets fan, we're up to 430 subscribers. Yeah, we were at 350 this past weekend when I was like trying to, get everything down, but we're at 430 now. Like I'm trying to get to 500 by this weekend. But Trisha she's the owner of the Mets Extremist group. Please, if you're a Mets fan out there listening, the Mets Extremist, she does a really good job, and she's been helping the network out tremendously. She actually set up our Twitter stuff at A Sports is on Twitter, and I'm going to start putting some effort into that. You can see on the bottom, you can follow us, Stuff About Sports Show, and then then from there you can join the fan group, and that's you guys' space. You talk, debate, argue sports, share sports stories, whatever you want to do. Politely. Just don't be sharing your podcast in my fan group, huh?
So politely argue sports.
Politely argue. No, don't polite. You don't have to politely argue. There's no rules. Curse at each other. And at Stuff About Sports on Instagram, and then of course, Give Us a Shot Network. You can find not only Stuff About Sports, but you're gonna find The Divide, 3-episode podcast, Mall Practice, 30, all this other good stuff. We're growing this thing. Thank you everybody for checking us out. But until next week, everybody be safe. Do all your safety protocols, COVID protocols, and take care of each other. Bert, you got anything for us?
Good to go. See you guys next week.
Later.